Welcome to the Math Path. Today we are going to be doing fractions. Now, Caleb, you have learned some fractions like if you had, let's say, 1/3 plus 1/3, it would be what?
2/3.
Things like that. Yeah, as long as the bottom part is the same. But we haven't done real fractions. Like, what if you had something more complicated? So we're going to go into something more complicated. We're going to do. Oh, you just messed up my thing. This is a new concept. This rubber band, the idea of the unit. Okay. So we're going to introduce the concept of the unit, which really is key to the concept of number. And so in a way, really, fractions are numbers. Whoa. And so if we treat them correctly, then, often fractions are a place where people trip and fall on the math path, but they, I don't think, need to be. If you teach things right from the beginning, with the end in mind from the beginning, then you're kind of doing fractions all along. Okay? So, because a fraction is a ratio. So this is a unit, all right? So, because we're calling this our 1, and what the unit does is it measures things, okay? Does that make sense? Mathematics is all about, it's measuring. It's the science.
Like a ruler?
Like a ruler. Here's our friend the ruler. Okay, so let's say that we have a bunch of things. All right, here we have this. Let's see how many we have, and we'll measure it in terms of this. Okay, so we'll line them up. We're measuring it in terms of that. We want to see how many we have in terms of this. So if this is our unit, our 1, the thing that we're using to measure, okay? So you have to use something to measure. And if that's what we're using to measure, then how many here do we have? Let's look. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. We got 9 in terms of this sun, okay? 9 suns.
That's easy.
Now, what if we changed the unit? What if we decided we're going to measure this in terms of TPs? Okay? We're going to measure in terms of TPs. So now this is going to be our 1. This is going to be our unit. Forget about this thing. Goodbye. This is the new boss in town. So this ruler is now useless. We need a new special ruler. Whoa! Because what this is scaling. We're scaling it. The scale is very fascinating to children in general. If you look at, we're always playing with dolls or Legos or different things that are at different scales, quarter scale, 10th scale, whatever. They're all different scales, and you have to use your imagination of what if this was the real size. So, anyway, what if this was your 1? Well, if you looked at that ruler earlier, here, can you fix that? Looked at the ruler, there's a lot of little lines in between. All those lines are fractions. Most of the marks on this ruler are fractions. It's all about fractions. Fractions are important because really, each of these lines is 1 inch is the name of this measurement, and an inch is pretty big, really. So it's not as precise as you sometimes want it. It's not as small as you want it. So, but we're going the other direction. We're going the other direction because it's easier this way. We're going to make it bigger. So instead of this being our unit, look, it's this. And I perhaps should have labeled these, but do we have any colored pencils that are not totally worn down to nothing? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So see now, here's our new thing. So let's stack that original thing up and see how many it is now in terms of this unit. So we line it all up in a line. You don't have to make the. Okay, but let's. I mean, I don't really know what you're doing. We want to line it up just like we did with the ruler last time. This is it's just a different ruler with different spaces.
I just thought you said
so,
in terms of this thing.
Yeah, well, it's in terms of this thing, right? But okay, well, maybe that's confusing. But that's how many are in each of these, okay? But we're looking at it linearly, all in a line, in a straight line. And so how many do we have?
3.
3. We have 3. We have 3 of them. If our 1 then, if this is our 1, okay? If this is our 1, we got 3 of them. All right, so.
Like this.
Let me think. Where was I going with this? Well, yeah, like that. Exactly. That's your 1.
1.
You can see 1, 2,
3.
3. Bingo. You got it, Caleb. Okay. So now,
Now 9 times 9 is 81.
so let's make up a problem. So this is dividing, okay? This is actually dividing. Division is measuring in terms of. So look at this. I've made ideas for these flashcards if they'll come into focus. Okay, where are we? Division. Okay. There's 2 different kinds of division that you could look at it. Usually it's looked at as splitting up. Is this ever going to focus? There we go. Splitting up, okay. And, you could have mystery, you have 4 groups of how many, and you figure it out, okay. But this, you can look at it in terms of or measured by. So if you have 8, here's an 8, measured by 2, if 2 is your unit, then that becomes what? 4. And then the 1 is your unit is acting like a 1. Like it really, you don't want the unit to necessarily stay a 2. It's the same thing. So 8 2s is the same as 4 1s. 8 measured by 2 is the same as 4 measured by 1. This is the same ratio, essentially. One is reduced and one is not. And so here we had 9 divided by 1. That's the same as what? 3 divided by 3. 3/3.
And then you rack it.
So and when they're all on the bottom, they all have special names. It's not just called 3 3s. It's halves, thirds, fourths, fifths. You add the at the end. And sevenths, eighths, everything. So that's pretty easy. Let's do
Hundredths.
even hundredth. I mean, that's an important one because essentially place values, that's all you're doing with the place values. You're saying, if you have a number, 100. Didn't this just work a minute ago? 132.
No, that was
That one.
Then, this is measured by 1. That's in terms of 1. This is what? 3 10s. This is saying there's 3 10s there. This is the 30. So that's measured by or in terms of anyway, 10, okay, and this is obviously 100, hundreds. All right, so place values are kind of the same kind of idea. But let's make a problem. What would be a hard problem? How about if you took 1/3, we were doing thirds here, divided by, I don't know, what do you want to divide it by? How about 2/5? Okay. So how would we do that? So what we would do is we'd say, okay, on this first one, our unit is a 3. Okay.
The second one, our unit is a 2.
No.
Is it
The
5?
unit is on the bottom. So it's 1 measured in terms of 3. And so if we had a little marker or something, so this is the only one really that we're counting. These ones are not there. So it's 1 in terms of this triangle, which is 3. Let's just draw the triangle, and that will be better. We don't actually really have we don't have a good plan here, if you can't tell, but I think that we're just making this up as we go along, and that'll be cool. So it'd be better if we had a red one. But so here's that, and then the 5, of course, will be a house. Oops. Okay, and you have 1. Okay, so yeah, exactly. You have 2 of those. You have 1 of these. Okay, and then you're measuring this one in terms of this one. How could you do that? Whoa, this is getting complicated. It's getting complicated. Let's try one step before we get quite to this. What if we just had 1/3 divided by, I don't know, let's do something else. How about 6? Okay. So what if we just had 6? It's 6 ones. This was 6 ones. This, our unit is, look,
7.
we'll draw it. There's our unit, and the number now is bigger than the unit. It's kind of covering it up.
6?
But
It'll be 6?
1/3 divided by, in terms of 6. So
6.
Well, no. So if you take this as your measurement, so since you're dividing it, now this is your measurement, okay? The other one, we were kind of doing layers. We were kind of doing measuring upon measuring upon measuring. Here, maybe hold this for a second, and I'll make I'll wrap it around there. Okay. So this will just have a couple measurement things. Okay, so there's going to be the unit for that. And in the problem, this is going to become the measure of this. Okay, and so this is the measure. This is the thing. So this is actually smaller. Remember, this is scaling. So this becomes, you have to imagine if there's a little triangle on top of here, and this is one of them, right? This is one of them in there. Okay, so then you have to say, well, what's the answer? Well, this would be 1, and if we're measuring it with this, then it's 1 out of how many spaces? How many spaces for this little 1 are there in this whole big, wrapped up in this whole big unit rubber band? It's 1 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So this would be 1/18, right? So is that right, do you think? So we have 1/3 divided by 6 ones, that equals 1/18. Is that cool? Okay. Now let's go back to this one of the 5 halves. If our unit is 5 halves, or two fifths. It's not 5 halves. This is the other way around. It's 2/5. If we're saying, okay, this whole thing is our unit now, and how many of these are in this? Well,
6.
nope, it's not 6. We can't be guessing. So do you understand what we did here? We changed the unit to be 6. So the unit for 1/3 went from 1 into 6. And so the size of it became 3 times smaller, essentially. Or 6 times smaller. And so here, it's the thing that we have, it's going into a fifth. So if it's just, and it's 2 of them. So if it's going into 2, then it would be becoming 2 times smaller. So it would be 1/6. But since it's 2/5, it's actually becoming bigger. It's becoming 5 times bigger because of the fifths. Let's make it 1/5. So if we're dividing it by 1/5, 1/3 divided by 1/5, okay, then now, again, we shrink down this to go in here, right? Just 1. Okay, I don't know why it stopped recording. But again, we're taking this 1/3, which is just 1 out of the 3. We're shrinking it down to be on here. If we're doing 1/3 measured by 1/5, 1/3 divided by 1/5. And so then we can draw the little, can you see that? We draw one of these there, okay? But then there's 2 more spaces. There's 2 more spaces, and then there's a bunch more spaces too, right? Or others, each with their own 3 spaces. Okay. Do you get it? Does that make sense? Or no?
20. It's 20.
Is it? So
There's
if
20
you have one of these,
spaces.
how many spaces is
See?
it?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 6 again.
So I don't know why it keeps recording, but hopefully it won't this time. So we figured out how many spaces are there. If it was 1/3 divided by 1/5, there
6
were.
halves.
Well, no, but there were 15, not
Yeah.
20, right? We figured out there's 15. Okay, but then let's change. Now we're changing the problem to be 2/5. We went way beyond this, so we're going to recap what I just went through off video, because apparently I don't know why it stopped. So now our thing that we actually have is this. Okay, now it's 2/5. So this 1/3 is shrinking down and becoming 2/5. Okay, this is becoming this. All right. So I don't know if you can imagine that. It actually maybe shouldn't be filled in like I just did. That this brown thing that's 2, it actually is 1 out of 3. Okay, it's 1 out of 3. That's actually there. So anyway, I think no, that's not correct. That's not correct. It's just the see, fractions maybe are hard, but it's just this thing. It's just this thing, the 1/3, this part right here, and it's being measured in terms of 2/5. Okay? And so, if we count up, well, how many of these 2/5 spots are there if it's 1/3 in each of them? There's spots for 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. See, we had 2 and then 1 left over. Wait, and then we have to actually get two of those, and then 1 of those and 2 of these. 6. Okay, and then we have this 1/2 left over. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5.
Yeah, and that's what we wrote here.
6.5. That is what we wrote there.
1, 2, 3. Triangle. Triangle is the new division sign. This is the new division sign.
That's the new division sign?
This is the new division sign for the math path.
Why? Why is that?
Because it's made out of globs.
Okay. That's true. Yep, and it kind of looks like the line there.
And that
And then
circle right here.
circle.
And a circle right here.
Circle. Okay. Yeah, that's true. Big circle. Okay. All right. So, back to this. Have we completely messed ourselves up?
6.5.
I mean,
We are
6.5 is
6.5
definitely not the right.
babies.
It's definitely not the right answer. I know the right answer. But somehow
Should I go look it up on
I'm
the
not
thing on
getting the
the
right answer. It
computer?
should be
Should I
7.5.
Should I go look it up on the computer?
No, don't go look it up on the computer. Let's think here. So
3
we
times
shrink this
3
down.
is 9.
Is in terms of 2/5. We're measuring it. If each third was 2/5, then you'd have you'd have 5. You'd have 5 of them, making 15. There's 5 spaces. If it's just 1/3, then it'd be space for 15. We got that, right? If it's just 1/3 divided by 1/5, I think we did that when the thing had stopped. Then it's 1/15, right?
Yes.
1/15. But then if you do it by 2 divided by 2/5, then oh wow, I totally messed it up. It's not 1/15. What am I saying? It's just 15, right?
Yeah.
1/3 divided by
Mhm.
1/5. No, it's not 15 either.
Mhm.
What is it?
Mhm.
What have we done?
The math class is destroyed by aliens.
Goodness. You see how difficult fractions are, and we've done this totally
He said that they were easy.
wrong.
They are not.
You have to
said
shrink
that
it
they
down in the right
were.
way. You have to shrink it down in the right way. That's the key. Okay.
He said that they were. Even a grown-up like him can't get it. And when he said that they were easy.
Oh dear. What a disaster on the math. Okay, so this is definitely not the right answer.
So we gotta
and
go
none
to
of these
this.
answers, in fact, are right. And maybe nothing that we've done so far is right. So we'll come back later with a different different way of doing it, perhaps, that might actually, that at least might make sense to someone. Thank you for watching.